Greetings in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, Melek of Yasharal,
Sweep
Kahan
ES
forever,
buyers.
according to the order of Melchizedek. All esteem, honor, and glory unto our Lord Yahuwah. This is a Melek Shalama trading.
Sweep
Right now I'm
ES
in a live
sellers.
trade
Boom.
on
Sweep
ES.
ES sellers.
2 contracts long
Boom.
from
Sweep gold
62,
buyers.
65.50. Right, so basically let me
Boom.
just break
Sweep
down
ES
why I got
buyers.
into this trade.
Boom. Sweep ES buyers. Boom. Sweep ES buyers. Boom. Sweep ES sellers.
Alright, so we're gonna look here at the accumulation, the formation of an accumulation structure. So over here we have let's see, this is, wait, let me just make this a different size. Hold on. Alright, let's make that green.
Boom. Sweep gold sellers.
Alright, so this is weekly Camarilla S4 here at this level, approximately 62, 63, 75. And then we have weekly value area high
Boom.
at
Sweep ES
roughly
sellers.
62,
Stop run ES sell wipeout.
65, right? So we basically from the open, which the open
Boom.
is here at
Sweep gold sellers.
9:30 Eastern time, we pushed up. We had heavy selling on the first initial push down. We pushed back up to this area, created the IB high, IB 30 and the IB 1 hour high at around 62.8450, and then we found sellers again. We kind of distributed. This is the volume point of control. It was up here at around, let's see, around 62.8150, right? So we had heavy selling. We pushed down into the value area high.
Boom.
Weekly
Sweep
value area
ES
high.
sellers.
We had heavy absorption there. We had heavy selling as well. There's about 2,000 iceberg sellers. And then you see
Bang.
the delta
Absorption
of the volume
gold sellers.
is buyers, right? So buyers came back in, and we basically, let me just manage this trade here a little bit. Let's see, we're gonna move this up to around this level here. Right, so that's my stop loss right there now at let's see, 62, 68.75, right?
Bang. Absorption gold buyers. Boom. Sweep gold sellers.
Just to make sure I don't give back everything if we start distributing around VWAP here, right? We're trying to get to this target at 62.7750, right? So we had the selling, buyers absorbed here. So this is basically like a preliminary supply, and we had a little pullback here. VPOC migrated down to this level. This is VWAP here as well, the green line. And I have these yellow lines as well. Those are from the ETH Open. And I have these white lines here are from the London Open, right? So this is London VWAP. That's the ETH VWAP. And that's RTA session VWAP. So VPOC migrated down, came down here to around 62.74, right? So we created a little pullback here. This was, to me, this was the selling climax right here, right? We pushed down into weekly value area high.
Boom. Sweep
And,
ES buyers. Stop run
what is
ES
it?
buy wipeout.
Weekly Camarilla
Stop
S4,
run ES buy
right?
wipeout.
So we pushed back up here with heavy volume.
Sweep ES buyers.
Buyers came back,
Sweep ES
took
buyers.
it back up to
Stop run ES buy wipeout.
the initial place where
Sweep ES buyers.
the volume point of control was. So we got back up to 62.8150, pushed above that a little bit. Then we started to exhaust again. Sellers came back in. We had heavy volume pushing down. You can see the volume right there. We had a little pushback to VWAP, retest VWAP, and we retested this level here again, creating the secondary stop. So at this point,
Sweep
when
ES
we created the secondary
Stop
stop,
run ES sell wipeout.
volume fell off there
Absorption gold
a
buyers.
lot, right? So that's buying volume, but actually all of this here is absorption as well, right? So let me just make some adjustments on my target. Let's see if we can get back up to this liquidity right here. And I'm gonna adjust my stop as well. We're gonna put my stop here just under this this volume point of control, right? Let me just move it back down a little bit. Right, so volume point of control is here at 62.74.
Bang. Absorption
Right, so
gold
we're trying to
sellers.
get up to this
Boom.
liquidity.
Sweep gold buyers.
If buyers get
Boom.
aggressive, I'll
Sweep
probably
ES
try and get to
buyers.
this liquidity
Boom.
level up here.
Sweep ES
Right,
buyers.
so let's see, where were we? Let me just open this up now a little bit. So we have the selling climax, the automatic rally. Let me use the arrows. So selling climax here at 62.64, around that area. Heavy volume. Automatic rally around here at 62, 81, 50 or
Boom.
82.
Sweep gold sellers.
Then we have the pullback, secondary stop. Stop run below below the weekly Camaria S4. That's my entry right there, 62, 65.
Sweep ES sellers.
And
Boom.
we push back up
Sweep
to this
ES
level
sellers.
here now. So let me see if I can do a little trade
Sweep gold
management
sellers.
here. Let's just open this up
Boom.
to see if it's time
Sweep
to
gold
exit
sellers.
this trade. So now we have let me see, let me move over to this screen. So this screen here, this is kind of like my bigger view. So it's showing that there's heavy volume here pushing up into this level, and volume is kind of falling off, right?
Bang.
So we're
Absorption
looking
gold
for
buyers.
volume to start
Boom.
increasing
Sweep
for us
gold
to push
sellers.
back up to these liquidity levels here,
Bang.
right? So let me
Absorption
just
gold
move
sellers.
this up.
Boom. Sweep gold
We're
sellers.
targeting this liquidity up here at 62.84, right? So what I could do now, since we had a little pullback, let's go over to this screen again. Since we had a little pullback here, I could move my stop to just below this level here, but I want to break above this level before I actually do that,
gold
right?
buyers.
So it could possibly retest VWAP, that's RTH VWAP at 62.74, and that's VPOC there at 62.74 as well, right? So they're basically in the same place right there. That should be heavy support. If we do get a retest, we could actually come back and swipe my stop right there just below that level, but let's see what happens here. It's looking like there's some exhaustion. We have iceberg sellers. The stops are coming out. Stops are coming out a little less, 6 down to 3. So that's probably signaling maybe some potential moves back up to the upside, because the stops to the downside are getting less, right? So that's the stops right there. But we do have buy sweeps going off now, so we could get a potential retest of these VWAP levels. So that's London VWAP, ETH VWAP,
absorption gold buyers,
and VPOC.
Boom. Sweep gold sellers.
And I actually had my desktop audio too loud, so maybe if during some of my narration you didn't hear me properly, my apologies for that. So I turned down that desktop audio. You should be able to hear it still, but it should be low enough so that you hear me prominently. But we'll see on the replay. Right, so now we have the buying volume coming in. I can now move my stop up to just below this structure. Right, so we're below this level. We have the breakout of this consolidation. We're looking to target this heavy liquidity here at 62.84. This is also value area low. And this may have moved around a little bit, but this is weekly VWAP right here. That's the overnight VPOC. That's the central pivot. This is weekly bottom central pivot. This is daily top central. This is yesterday's settlement. This is the IB low 30-minute. All right, so we have lower volume on the selling. We have heavy volume buying. low volume selling, but still there's no buyers taking it up after this low volume selling. So gotta be cautious here. Maybe it might pull back, but let's see if buyers take it up again. We have liquidity on the bid supporting, right? So we have the aggressive buyers coming in. We could potentially take this back up all the way to IB high, but let's see. You see the stops, 11 stops coming out, then there's one stop coming out here, so there's a confluence of maybe not pushing down lower because there's less stops, but now there's 29 stops coming out, so we're seeing some move back to the downside, maybe to retest this structure low here, but let's see if buyers hold it up. So we have iceberg 73 right there, trying to absorb the selling. I'm seeing possible exhaustion from the buyers here. All right, so I'm going to flatten the trade there. So we're going to take profit at yesterday's settlement. And that's the trade right there because it's looking like there's some exhaustion happening right now. Just below this this heavy liquidity here at 62.80. Yeah, and that's the trade right there. That's the trade management. And let's see, let me just go over this one more time because I think that the desktop audio was too loud before. So if you're still here, let me just be courteous enough to just go over this again. So RTH open, we push down, volume coming in, we push back up, heavy liquidity on the offer. It wasn't there before, but came in after this this pushback up here. So this created the IB high, right? So after that, we had some distribution. Buyers got exhausted. This is first upper deviation. We're breaking down first upper deviation, dash green line, value area low, central pivot. We start breaking down. We come all the way down to these minus 2 and minus 2.5 lower deviations, right? We get a bounce, heavy volume there on the buy side. And let me just open this up so you can see something right quick. I want to show you this because this was significant in kind of determining whether this is accumulation or not, right? So what we have here is iceberg sellers, 2,000 iceberg sellers, right? Now with 2,000 iceberg selling, and we have blue bubbles coming in here with heavy buy volume into this weekly value area high and weekly Camaria S4, right? We don't get any follow through. We get buying absorption, absorbing 2,000 contracts, iceberg sellers, right? So you see there's iceberg sellers continuing to sell. So basically what I'm seeing here is after we drop, right? These guys are taking profit. This is like when you're trailing your stop, right? So you start trailing your stop down, and then you get this heavy buy in here, right? So all of this could be basically covering, right? So covering shorts. So we get heavy volume at a significant level, and this is where the accumulation begins, right? So now, and the reason I have these deviation bands as well is to point out from a volume weighted average price perspective where the accumulation is going to take place, because from a volume weighted average price perspective is going to take place in the lower deviations, right? So we have lower deviation here, lower deviation, lower deviation, lower deviation, right? So you see the selling is drying up, buyers are taking control, small buying, nothing too big. But basically what it's demonstrating is that this selling here has been absorbed, right? So buyers take it back up. We run into liquidity on the offer. These are guys covering as well. We have VPOC migration, that light blue line right there. We come down to 62.74. This is VWAP right here. So this is the highest volume in the structure right now, right? So we have covering going all into all of this here is all this volume here is creating or making this VPOC migrate down. And all of this is basically buying absorption and short covering, right? So after the initial absorption, we get a little push up here, right? And then we push down to create the selling climax. So this is the preliminary supply. So let me label this over here as well. Kind of just to break down how I read price action, right? So this is going into from a live trading video into kind of breaking down how I'm reading this price action, right? So preliminary supply, right? Then we have the selling climax down here, right? So that's the selling climax. You see there's less volume here. So this is the preliminary supply, buying absorption. There's less volume here on the sell side. Volume, the sellers increase the volume here, but not that much as over here, right? So we have buyers taking control again, bigger volume on the buy side. Let me just open that up so you can see it, right? So this is the selling volume, rising selling volume. Then it drops off into this significant level right here. We have buyers stepping in, and buyers consistently raise the volume, right? So increasing buying volume, 223 on the bid down here. We have some stacking on the bid as well here, and we start moving up again, right? So we push up, heavy volume pushing into VWAP. We push above VWAP, right? And we create this automatic rally up at this level. So let's label this here. And we come right back to overnight VPOC. So that's automatic rally at overnight VPOC. All right, so automatic rally 62, 82, 50 approximately, right? So we get this little distribution structure happening here. VPOC has migrated up to this level. So remember VPOC was down here, it migrated down, right? And now it started to migrate up as the volume is pushing up. So let me use the arrows. So that's VPOC migrating up right there, light blue line, pushing up, right? So into the automatic rally, volume is following where the automatic rally is going to take place, right? So buyers took over, volume is now pushing higher, volume point of control, right? So we come back to this was the high volume node or the VPOC in the first 30 minutes, right? So first 30 minutes the automatic rally came right back up into this level, liquidity on the offer, right? Absorbing the buyers. We start to distribute, volume point of control starts to move down as well, and we're coming back down for the secondary stop. So let me just point this out. right? So we have heavy selling through VWAP, through this liquidity on the bid, right? So basically, if anyone was long at this in these areas, this is where they place their stops, right? So they place their bids over here to cover, just like I did on how I took profit. I basically put my stop below structure, right? So they placed their stop around this level. Price action came back, took out their stops on the bid, right? We have 161 stops going off here, right? First, when we broke down the VPOC level here at this level, right? So 161 stops came out. Then we have 15 down here. Then we have 69, right? So stops coming out as we hit these levels here. So this is a mixture of stops and buyers, right? Trying to get back into or trying to get a position when they see this buying occurring, right? So as we move along, we're consolidating around VWAP. VPOC migrates, right, into that VWAP area, right? So that's London VWAP, ETH VWAP, and RTH session, right? So VPOC now migrates down into this area here, and we have the sweep back down into the value area high weekly level, which creates the secondary stop. So let me just right. So this is where we create our not secondary stop but selling climax, or secondary stop, my bad. So we create the secondary stop down here at 62, 62.50, right? So we're going to label that. Right, so that's our secondary stop. Let's open this up a little bit. Right, so at this key level here, this is why I use my Camarilla S4 and my Camarilla pivots and my value area high pivots. So let me just open this up. Excuse me. So my IB low actually covered my Camarilla S4 level, right? So I actually plotted this IB low here, but this is Camarilla S4, right? So let me just put this right here. That's my weekly Camarilla S4 level. So 1 second. Right, so that's our weekly value area high level. It was defended by buyers. Buyers absorbed the sellers again. Heavy selling volume. Right, so that's heavy selling volume. Buying volume coming in, pushes it up. Final sweep down, heavy selling volume, right? And as soon as we push above these levels here again, and I see the buying volume starting to come back in, I took the trade. Stop loss is there, 1.5 points on the stop loss, so tight stop. I could actually move this stop down to below the structure here just to be safe, right? But just within reading how this accumulation and how the accumulation structure develops, most likely it's not going to come back down to retest these levels, right? Once we create this spring or secondary stop right here with sweeps below the initial selling climax, we're usually going to get buyers just taking it back up, right? Because it's going to be short covering and buying absorption, right? So you see buying volume dropped off here a little bit on the pullback, right? That's the little pullback right there. Buying volume comes back in, drops off again on the pullback. Buying volume comes back in, pushes up a little bit more on the pullback right here, right? Buying volume comes back in, pushes above it, right? So once we see a continuous move from buying volume getting above selling volume, right? So pull back, take profit. These guys are taking profit here. You see the selling volume increase above the buying volume. Then it drops off, heavy volume, buyers, right? This is a little tricky here where you see the selling volume come in again. We break below the structure, but it immediately falls off, right? And then you get heavy buying again. So it's just away from a volume price analysis perspective. It's a little tricky to read it, but it's within context, right? Because you got to see where and when to read VPA. Like reading VPA, you can read it all the time. We're reading the volume bars, but it's within the context of, okay, that's a secondary stop. We're supposed to get buying volume. Buying volume is increasing. We have these little pullbacks. You're gonna see selling volume increase, and it's gonna drop off, right? You're gonna get buying volume increasing until where you see I exit the trade there, heavy selling volume, right? So just before it came back, my stop was originally here. I just exited the trade because I'm seeing now the selling volume is coming in above shallow buying, right? So you see the shallow buying right here, shallow buying, and we have this resistance liquidity above. We have this +1 upper deviation. We're getting absorbed by liquidity on the offer as well. So it's just recognizing how a distribution structure plays out, right? So basically, let's see what's happening now. Right, so we're basically moving back down to this level. What we could get now is a spring, right? Where sellers could take it below this weekly levels down to this this daily Camarilla S3 level, right? And we could get the spring down into this level here, hit Camarilla S3, maybe do a little stop run, and then we could start going bullish for the rest of the day, breaking IB high and stuff like that. So this is just from a Wyckoff perspective, reading the accumulation structure and how it might play out, right? So that's how I took my trade. It's a bold and green strategy. Entry long here at 62, 65, 50, I believe, yeah. 62, 65, 50. Stop at, I think it was 62, 64, right? Just after we created that secondary stop below the selling climax, secondary stop, long, up to this level when we start breaking down and distributing here just under this this value area low, central pivot level. We start kind of distributing and buyers exhausting right there, being absorbed by the passive sell offers, right? Offers on the well, passive liquidity on the offer, right? Yeah, and that's the trade right there. That's the breakdown of my bold and green strategy using VWAP deviations, using the Wyckoff structure of accumulation to get in the trade, and looking out for as well within the Wyckoff theory, the distribution that's happening within an accumulation structure. So this is basically a distribution happening right here, right? So you have the buying climax, the uptrust, the buying climax is on heavy volume. That's the uptrust right there. Start breaking down, you get the LPSY, and it breaks down further. All right, y'all. So that's it for the bowling green strategy. It's MELEK SHALAMAH Trading, and I hope you all enjoyed the live trade plus the breakdown of how this trade is taken and when it's taken. Right. So I also forgot to point out that these are these VPI volume pressure imbalance. That's volume pressure, and that's the volume pressure from the icebergs, right? I also have the NQ here, volume pressure imbalance, and gold volume pressure imbalance, right? So when you see the spike here, that's the volume pressure imbalance spiking to the buy side, which also aligns with a buying climax, right? You also have another buying spike here from the volume pressure that aligns with the uptrust, right? So all of this here signals to get out of the trade, right? Because it's like a potential reversal or a distribution is playing out. All right, y'all, it's Melek Shalama Trading. Hope you all enjoyed the breakdown. Y'all trade safe and stay blessed. Shalom.